What's going on YouTube? This is Alex from Team Crushing the Meta, and last week we had a couple of Aqua reveals, of course. We haven't talked about it on this channel, so here I am to do so. We're going to talk about these cards within the Vanguard Revon deck. This is the most obvious combination since it will retain the -5k theme, of course. You guys might think of some other crazy combinations to add these cards to, but we're going to stick to a little bit of the basics. That being said, let's get into the first card, which is Blue Wave Martial Valios itself. I do think that Revon will be the better card of these two, so that will be the one I will play at 4. The pressure that Revon gives with its power gain and its crit is very good, and I think it will draw a little bit better to do the triple drive and the actual 2 draw effects. You will draw a little bit less with this card, I believe. Of course, things are pretty good with this card as well. It will give you the ability to pop a field out of nowhere if you get blown up or anything like that, or just have a low hand size. That can be very good, of course. The fact that your opponent's Vanguard cannot gain any more power thanks to defensive triggers can be a big thing as well. Aqua has been a clan that struggled a little bit with this. Revon usually could gain quite a bit of power on its columns, but this is an alternative way to play it, of course. The exchanging position is also similar to that. It is an alternative way to play this deck. With Revon you would usually, like I said, build more columns, but this is maybe an option if you can get a lot of power on your individual rear guards. So very good backup at the very least. Then the next card is Blue Wave Marine General Galliot. If you are into rushing, this is going to be a very good card. Perhaps you have taken quite a bit of damage, so that way you could stand your blue waves on your turn 2 play, and it is not a once per turn skill, so if you've taken 2 damage due to a critical trigger or anything, you can actually restand multiple that turn. Will cost you a lot of counterblast, of course, which you cannot use later, but you can be mindful to use the strategy, of course. A very good thing is also that it can exchange its position with another rear guard, or it can exchange 2 rear guards, similar to what Wheel Assault used to do in the old Revon deck, which will open up, of course, more attacks, which I think is pretty good in both Revon and the Valios side of things. And one of the better things of this card as well is it has Blue Wave in the name, because the last card in the Blue Wave cycle will allow you to search these things. I think this is by far the best card of the new 4 cards that we have, because it will give you the card advantage in hand. With a lot of Blue Wave cards in the deck, I think you will run at least, let's say 20 cards. You will most definitely hit a card from the top 3 to search and get it to your hand, so you will have the hand advantage out of this. And the fact that it gains 5k is of course always nice, especially in the deck like Revon, because these cards can hit on themselves if you play them on an exile marker, for example, or if you can exchange their positions, you can hit with it again. Very good card. The last card we have new is a promo version. Thankfully that we get a couple of very cool promos and the clan selections that get reprinted. We really needed cards like these in English. This card will most definitely be useful when you play Valios. It will be a little bit less useful if you go the Revon route. If you want to exchange positions, you will have the Crate 2, or you might even run Wheel Assault. But if you do not have them, this might be an extra attack that you can get off it. Pretty good card, and of course it's a very good right target as well, because it allows you to cycle and search for a couple of pieces that you might need. Then let's get into a general idea of what the deck might look like. Not going to give you exact counts, but a couple of thoughts to play with. I think we can be very short on the grade 3s. Revon, like I said, will still be my favorite card. I will drop 4th Vessel Dragon since Valios is an excellent backup. And I don't really think you should consider any other grade 3s. You might do Blab Bomber in the old build, the card that will allow your opponent to get minus 10k or something like that. It will nullify a trigger, at least a defensive trigger. If you go the Valios route, this will be not very good, not very useful, because Valios will already counter that. And the other grade 3 that you might consider is Riptide Dragon, purely because it's power, but I think there are a couple of very good grade 2s that I would run over that. So grade 3s, we can be short about it. These will be the main 2 grade 2s to play. Blue Wave Marine General Gallias is of course the restander of the deck with very good cards. I have always been a great fan of it. The 5k can help to push the numbers again, like the grade 1 can. The restand ability has a great timing because you can choose to restand it on the Revon attack, which will usually be a little bit later in your battle plan. And of course it is a blue wave, which means that you can now search it with Corvettes, which is very good. Coral Assault, again, I think one of the best beat sticks in Aqua Force deck. The condition to get the 15k is very easy, especially when you can exchange positions. This is a very must-have card, and it will also allow you to draw a lot. Fun fact about this, if you do run Valios, there will be a couple of instances that you can Soul Blast, using the Galliot for example, if you want to exchange positions. If you have put Coral Assault or Nerissa, we're going to talk about her a little bit later, into the Soul, you can Soul Blast them that way, and if you can get the game going on for long enough, you can get these cards back with Valios' Revive skill. Might be a nice play to have. Any other grade 2s we might consider? If you want to restand a little bit more, I would play Terrific Coil Dragon. This will be above choosing Tidal Assault for me, because this one gets the 5k. It's a little bit more stable. I would run Tidal Assault in decks that high roll a little bit more, like Maelstrom. If you can get 6 triggers off it and then place those on Tidal Assault, I think that's a better play. But in this deck, especially with the minus 5k, I think this is a better restander. Also, it's Soul Blast for the previous little play I mentioned. A card I have been considering a lot as well is Kelpie Rider Dennis, because it will rest another rearguard. Nerissa will play off this of course, but I always play the card you see below Dennis, which is Thanasis. Purely because I would have another way to rest rearguard, so you can restand Nerissa. But Dennis is a very nice addition because it will allow you to plus in the field, which is always nice. Then again, we could consider playing Foivos here. It is a blue wave, which means that now it is searchable. I have never been a huge fan of this card in the old build, mainly because of the discard cost to restand it, but maybe it is worth it now that you can search it. If you want to have a little bit more of the power plays, especially when you play the Vanguard deck, you're going to exchange positions a little bit more. Kelpie Rider Byron is a pretty nice addition for the same reason as a Coral Assault. It gains the 15k, so it's basically a 5th, 6th copy of Coral Assault here. And the last card I have been considering is Halpelos, especially again in the Valios build, because again you are able to revive it, which means that the fact that you retire it is a little bit less of an issue. And of course the 10k on Vanguard and the draw power a few hits are already nice to begin with. But the fact that you can get this back now makes it a pretty good contender, I'd say. Then on to the grade 1s. I've mentioned both of these cards already. I think these are still the main grade 1s, like in the Revon deck, the old one. Again, Barragius got a little bit better again because it is searchable now. It still searches your grade 3s, of course, which most of the Valios Revon decks now will have more targets. I don't think that a lot of people would have played Fort Vessel before. So it is a little bit easier to get a grade 3 out of this, which is nice. And again, the 5k is of course always good in a deck like this. And Nerissa, again, we've talked about her a little already quite a bit. It has a Soul Blast ability. It gains a 10k, which means that it will hit those numbers. And it is also a very good draw power cards. So at least if you were going to run Revon at max, this is also at max. If you're going to run Valios, it is a little bit less useful, but I'd say it's still very good because purely of the draw power, which you will need a bit more in Valios. Then the other great ones. Wheel Assault is still a very good one, I think. It will allow you to exchange those positions. It's of course a little bit less needed because there are better exchange position cards now. But I would still run it as a backup right target as well, because the advantage that the draw card in call is pretty good, especially when you're planning to rush anyway. There are a couple of nice cards you might run if you feel like it. It might depend a little bit of the meta shaping up. If you need to remove stuff, Parthenia is a pretty good card. I would like Theo as well, because Theo in this case can hit on its own on the second and third attack, and if they do not guard it, then another attack will be even more powerful. And if you really feel like you need to counter charge, you shouldn't, but if you need to, Penguin Soldier is of course your guy. For the trigger lineup, front triggers aren't very good in Revon. I would definitely run the crit triggers. I'm going to try 8 critical triggers myself first, with 8 normal criticals and then 4 draw PGs probably, and 4 heal triggers. I used to run 6-6, so 6 criticals, 6 draws. I'm hoping that it won't be very necessary now that we get a little bit more hand advantage due to Corvette, for example. But if you feel like you will need the draw power, then 6-6 is a very, very stable trigger lineup as well. So these have been the new Aqua Force cards. I hope you guys will enjoy them. I know I will too. I will always love the Revon deck, so I'm very excited to play this. So thanks for watching this video. Subscribe, like, and as always, I love to read the comments. Let me know what you think of the deck. If you have any other ideas, I would love to take them on board as well. And I hope I can give you some ideas back with this video. So until next time, bye bye.